All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. A few notes before we get going. Friendly reminder to please silence your cell phones. If time permits, we will have an opportunity for one-on-ones at the end at the backdrop to the right of your room. And for media in attendance, we have a workspace set up in our AB conference room here behind us, if you haven't already found it. We will start with opening remarks from our Jaquish and Kenninger Director of Athletics, Bernard Muir, who will then introduce our new Ann and Tony Joseph Director of Men's Basketball, Kyle Smith. Then we'll open it up for questions. Bernard, at this time, I will turn it over to you.
Zach, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Certainly an exciting day for Stanford men's basketball. Kyle, we're thrilled to welcome you here, and we are getting going, getting underway, ready to start in a new era here. But I also want to say welcome to Katie and to Rocco. Bo and Luke are not with us today, but we look forward to having them down. Rocco's already repping the Stanford gear, which I love. But it's just a thrill to have your family here, and I hope you'll feel that way as you get acclimated. And I also say welcome back to the Bay Area. So it's great to have you. We've the last week or so here, we've been scouring the country to try to find the right coach, and we quickly found it. And the one thing I will say before I turn it over to you, Kyle, is just the number of people in the basketball community to just rave about you and rave about your teaching and passion. It's pretty evident. And then the other thing I would say is, we did our homework. We talked to a number of folks, and I think a couple stops ago, we talked to some people in the administration at Columbia, and they said from the day one, you always mentioned that your dream job was Stanford. It was a smart choice, and I'm glad that we're finally have fulfilled your dream and you're coming home. So with that, I have a jersey to present to you, and then
awesome.
I'll have you do opening remarks.
All right. Let's make sure we do this right.
Yeah, we'll make sure we do. Awesome.
There we go. Thank you.
Turn over to you.
All right. Now, Bernard knows I can ramble. So if he starts going, Katie, start giving me the hook, it's time to wrap this thing up. It's great. It's wonderful to be here, and it might sound corny and trite, but people, because it's my fourth job, but it's actually beyond a dream job. Never thought that, being a Division III player, coach, whoever, to have this opportunity is really incredible, and I think it'll resonate when I discuss it. I mean, I'm really thrilled. Two apologies in advance. I'll try not to cry, and my wife's going to work on that. And I'll try not to be a comedian that's working the Catskills. And I try not to come off that way, but there's possibility of both. First, I got to thank my family. Bernard already touched on it, and everyone will quickly understand my better three quarters. Some already do. My wife, who is really was a rock star in this family, talented. She was an SWA at 29, and she's a more incredible wife and mom, and she's crying, so she's ruining that whole deal. And then Bernard mentioned my family, Rocco, who's 15, and we're looking for a right basketball program. He's coming on. So anyway, ninth grader, going to be a 10th grader. Bo and Luke couldn't make it today. Luke had baseball, and Bo, we'll ever get to meet Bo soon enough. Also, I got to give this guy a shout out, and I don't think people usually do this in their thing, but pretty unique. My agent, Oliver Winterbone, who actually, he sounds like a third generation WASPy attorney. So we're going to work on that. We're going to call him Bones or Big O. But he took on a client that had a very specific needs. And my intention was to make the big time where I was at. I need someone that makes it where I'm living, because where we lived was great. And I live by faith and family are the two most important things. And I said, hey, I don't care what interest there is out there. I just want to, if we can make our better situation for our family here at Washington State or wherever, that's the most important thing to me. Now, it's not a great hand to play. You're an agent. Like, my client really wants to stay, or will you talk to him? But, and again, it had to be a unique opportunity. And this one is beyond unique, because not only for the basketball piece, but also for my family. And in the process, and it went quick, where I described it, we only had like one conversation, and I think it was like two teenagers trying to figure out a prom date. And it was kind of like, I think he likes me. He likes me, and he kind of had me at hello. He didn't know that he had me at hello, but I was like, I'll let him go. And he put us in touch. I think I don't want to say it right. It's Antonio Hardon, who's a Stanford Autism Center. Like I said, hard not to cry, but to have that opportunity for our family, my son, to have maybe more resources, just honored and thankful. And you all get to know Bo soon enough. And also we'll have another part of our family to mention that he has a very special caregiver. She's going to move down here, and Emily Hoot. And so no chance not crying. So you guys will know. You guys will know, and it's a joyous cry, I promise you. So on that. All right, and then I want to thank Bernard. What a class act, and great. Really was very, I would say, Stanford-y in the whole process. He was very procedural, very. He gave me, because I said, like I said, my agent, I said, look, I'm not going to talk to you till our season's done. I don't care what's going on. And I think we talked after last game finally. I said, and I had to say, are we in the tournament? I said I would hate myself if I ever talked, even approached it if we didn't. And I think we were safely in, according to my wife, which is my go with that. But Jenny's very respectful of what we were trying to do as a team. And he said, you know, go in the tournament, do what you have to do, and we'll support you. We'll be here when you're done. And that means a lot, because I couldn't go in that locker room. Again, back to my agent, like said, we're not signing anything, we're not doing anything, but really felt comfortable. And I really came to the conclusion. I told my agent, I said, what if we win this whole thing? And I said, I don't know if there's much to be done at Washington State. It's time to go to Stanford either way. So I was really, that made everything easier. It's like, hey, let's go for it. And we did really well. And then, you know, he doesn't seem like a cutthroat negotiator, because like I said, he had me at hello. But we're just kind of, I was like, you know, I was just there very stoically. Then, and all of a sudden, he just like, you like golf? I was like, I like golf. You know, whatever. And I'm just thinking, what's he got going? He says, well, he goes, you know, Condoleezza is a member at Augusta. I said, really? I said, well, it's always been my dad's. It's always been my dad and I dream to play Augusta. And he goes, done. I said, done? He said, done. I said, great. I said, and then I was, well, now I'm like, oh, God, I got this guy. And then I said, you know, in my my pastime, one of my hobbies, I'm a writer. I've been floating a couple scripts. I got a documentary I'm working on. And I said, do you know Issa Rae? He said, yeah. I said, I'll take a meeting with her too. So he's got both of them working for me. But now, someone prepped me. I want to be clear on this. Someone prepped me for this press conference. Said, don't make up stuff. I did. Those two conversations didn't. But I'm not afraid to plant the seed. I'm not afraid to see what the desires are. So I got it. But couldn't be more. I mean, he's been great, and I think we're gonna have a wonderful connection. There's so much overlap with his experience growing up in Gainesville. I grew up in Houston. Him ended up going to an Ivy League school in New England and stuff like that, and just travels around Midwest. You know, citizens of the U.S. anyway, for sure, and a lot of experiences. I'm excited about that. Carter, I was giving him a little shout out. He's kind of my Sherpa through this process, and I'm just in advance. Thank you for. You're going to be hearing from me a lot on this transition, and then actually when I spoke and I was a little shocked, they said, "Hey, Condoleezza Rice going to be calling you at 2:00," and she was on very prompt. And I said, and it was an awesome conversation. And I don't think they told her that I hadn't signed anything yet, but she was like, "Welcome," and I was like, "I'm like closed." That's all I needed from her. So those are the thank yous, and couldn't be more happy there. And then I think I just want to share a little bit. My why. Why do I coach? I think it's always important when I'm recruiting, or might as well tell you guys now. A little bit. Had unbelievable parental support. I want to thank my parents, my dad, who has been a big believer in his son, big part of my competitive drive, and trying to. He's a pretty successful guy, and trying to live up to that with integrity. And then my mom, my stepdad, Susan Arthur Rosenblum, and my mom, who is a kindergarten teacher forever, and still speaks to me as such, as that I'm and never a negative word, win or lose, and she's the emotional support and maybe more of my coaching acumen may come from her because she understands patience, and that's really key when you're working with people. And so that's kind of, I've got a good basis to fall back on. And my stepdad Art's awesome. Just leave it at that. But I've had some influences, and going back ninth grade, I kind of figured out that's what I wanted to do. It was either sell computers like my dad, or my high school coach Rick Shirley. And I don't know why, but I just really gravitated to him in an important time in my life, and I still go by this in every job. I've talked about everything I need to know. I learned in high school, and when things are going hard, I just go back to this. And this guy's a Texas Association of Basketball Coaches. He's won 800 games. He's the president of that, and he's just been a mentor. He's a big cheerleader, and a lot of what I've learned, the analytics piece and everything. But he's just, more importantly, he's just a great human being, and wanted my way of giving back to people has been kind of what he instilled in me, and then moved on to my professional life. I think Randy Bennett, who's head coach of St. Mary's, pretty prominent guy in the Bay Area. He's the first guy that really helped me get a job and really believed in me when I was begging just to volunteer anywhere. And I locked it down. I told Bernard for $800 that first year for being the graduate manager at University of San Diego. And a lot of the things like Rick Shirley being my high school coach, and his dad was a high school and junior college coach. So that's kind of where. And we took over a situation, and we just always doubled down on coaching, doubled down on character development, doubled down on that stuff. So always been that part of that deal. And then there's been a lot of people along the way, and like I said, but my professional life, they're more really kind of how interesting how the world works and how your life, I'm at a point in my life where there's certain things that influence you. You don't know how much, but there's two people I want to mention in a big way. It's when I got my first head job at Columbia, and this guy's a pretty prominent guy that he said, and I hope I don't, this would sound like never let the bastards get to you. His name's Bill Campbell, and he was, as people know in here, he was a football coach at Columbia before he took a little marketing job here in the Silicon Valley that he with Apple, and he turned it into sitting on a few boards into it, Google, et cetera, and became known as the CEO or coaches of the CEOs. And I think a lot of people, but he was so much more than that. He was just a dude from Homestead, PA, that played football and coached football, and just happened to be really gracious with his time and resources. And he just told me a couple things. He said, if you ever need anything, call me. And I did only once or twice. I knew I was smart enough, and it was like, what do you need? And it was done. And he kind of taught me, and he, like I talked about my why, I think he personified it. He took so much joy in helping others and seeing them succeed, and provide, whether it's, for Sacred Heart or whatever. He was just Powder Puff football team. It was a big deal to him. And people that know him or know of him, and he's been, it's amazing. It's been 8 years since he passed away, but he made a huge impact on me. And he used, another thing, at Columbia, he would always host a thing at the Old Pro. I've heard it's coming back. I'm all in on that. And he sat, he always finished the night every kind of the same way, with a pint in front of him, and it'd be about 2 a.m., and he'd be telling me, he said, look, there's two things in life that the assets you have, your time and your treasure, and how are you going to spend those? And for him, he had it mapped out, and he's like, my family, my business relationships, my community, and my alma mater. And he lived by those. And to be here, and I just know making him really proud, and to be associated with that, really, really thankful. And it's just, like I said, it's beyond a dream. And I know he's up there looking down and probably got a beer in his hand. And then when I got to USF, we talk about my why. There's a guy that I never worked with him, but I really respect him. He's the guy from the Peninsula who coached at Kenyatta Community College for many years. Mike LaGarza, Positive Coaches Alliance, who I'm sure there's probably people that went to his camp in this room at some point. And he really, he got it, man. He introduced me to Coach Frosty, and it's about making the big time where you're at, and that's life. Grow where you're planted. And I've been able to do that every stop of the way, and whether it's Manhattan Pullman, San Francisco. It's the key to life. And he kind of led me that way. And he sat me down. I was at USF, and he said, we need to really, what's your mission statement? Why do you do this? And it really came down to, I said, I want to empower others to empower themselves. I want to see people grow and really the nerd gospel, as we might call it. So he's doing that, and for those who don't know, he's taking on another battle right now with his health, but he's absolute stud. And the last thing, he was following our team, and I reached out to him, and it's again like Randy Bennett, that's who I knew him through. Like, he's been through him this whole way, and he just said, I want to make sure he said, people are impressed with talent. He texted me. He said, God cares about character. And he said, your mission is bigger than basketball. And I don't think these are coincidence that those people had those impacts, and like that, and that brought me here today. It's pretty special. Like I said, it's a pretty special day for me. I guess I'm gonna talk about my philosophy of basketball. It's not as exciting, it's not as meaningful, but no. So anyway, all that being said, I'm really thankful to be here. And then as far as basketball and the philosophy and just the program, two things we look at, and I've done this for going back to when I was assistant at St. Mary's. There's two paradigms or two things we work through, and it's a big picture, and it's getting these 18-year-olds priority straight: faith, family, team, and academics. Monopolizing time, that double down on those things. Team and academics are your two full-time jobs, really, and especially here. And I still haven't coached a guy that didn't have a social life, so I'm still waiting for it. So it's not like, even though we're pressing it, they still seem to have fun in college. College should be fun, but that's a lesson for the next 50 years, that try to keep those priorities, because if your faith and your family aren't right, you're not going to produce right. You're not going to be able to perform. And you got to have a coaching staff that believes in that and feels comfortable in that. If your things aren't going right in those areas, that we can guide you in the right place. And then it gets down to the daily, and it's have a great attitude, man. It's like be a giver, not a taker. You'll hear these players will hear me say, you got into Stanford, you're rounding third base in life. What are you going to do with that? And be proud of your choices you make, not of your gifts, but of the choices. What are you going to do with that? How are you going to spend that opportunity? And that's about having gratitude and thankful for each day. We're playing basketball, for goodness sakes, and the guys and it's easy for the smart guys to find, the highly critical mind can find what's wrong with things. Try to hunt the good stuff. Try to find what's good stuff. So that's a big part of our attitude. And then work ethic. It's just, if you want to be good at anything, you better put your time into it. You better purposely do it. And we're attracting people that understand that a little bit already, and let's double down on that, the attitude, work ethic. And then the last piece of our philosophy in that daily is, I already said it, make the big time where you're at. And a big part of our program will be, right now, going through the portal and all that stuff. That's why I knew I really wanted the job. It was like, there's guys in the portal. I'm like, great, who cares? So it's Stanford. It's Stanford. We're going to be okay. Things are going to be okay. We're going to get people who want to be here. And worry more about the ones we have, not the ones we don't, has been the mantra. And it's important. I think it's easy with social media and all these other things to get caught up and worry about others when we got people in front of us that want to be good. I didn't succeed, but I tried to reach out to all the players that are in the program right now, let them know that these are guys that you guys are invested, you guys are in, and if we're going to be good, you guys are going to be the leaders. You guys are the guys that want to be here, and that's how this works, and it's always worked. And I said this is on my fourth head job, and going back, I always use St. Mary's as the model for that. So that's important. And then there's no way, Bernard didn't know this, there's no way I wasn't going to take the job, because for 30 years, it's true, I've been saying that this is the best job, period. And I meant that sincerely, and that was before Coach Montgomery got to number one in the country. It was in the midst, he just started going to tournaments. And I was like, and here's my reasoning was this. Duke was a pretty good job, pretty good. And they understood the student athlete, and Coach K wouldn't hang a banner until everyone had graduated in their program. Then things changed. They started taking one and done guys. So they started recruiting against Kentucky, and so it's fine, it's good. Do what you want to do. Every time they didn't take one of those guys as an elite player that was active, I said, Stanford, you can be something different than everyone else. And he got it. And got it to number one in the country. And it was Nick Robinson, I think, Christian Hernandez, and these guys were studs, people, and workers. And I remember looking at the time, I believe I could be, I'm getting old, but I think like 28-0, and Nick Robinson hits a half-court shot, and play Maples was crazy, and I'm just like, I'm telling everyone in my business, like, that's a bad job. I'm like, no, it's the best job. It's the best job. You can be so good here. You attract the people you attract here. You can be great. You got to sell it, believe in it. And you don't understand, those people are elite. They're workers. They're achievers. You got the place. You got their home. Other people want to chase the other ones. Right here. Let's go. So it's easy for me to believe that. I've been saying it for 30 years, so I better back it up. I was like, if anyone knew that I was going to not do this, they're going to like, you are a fraud, Kyle Smith. And then I had a real argument with the person when Coach Montgomery took the Warriors job in a bar. I said, he's like, that was a great move. I was like, I don't know. I said, gosh, he has the best job in the country. And I believe it can be. And he proved he's pretty good. He might have been the outlier because he went and won over the other place. It hadn't been won in 50 years. So we're going to find out if it's a job or a coach, and hopefully a little bit of both. And hopefully I know what I'm doing. And I think I got it all out there. I said, might as well get it done. But hopefully you know a little bit more about me. And I think that's important as we move forward. And I don't think I need to say that I'm beyond thrilled to have this opportunity. Go Card.
All right. We'll now open it up for questions. Please raise your hands, and we will find you. We have mics on both sides of the room. And one reminder to please introduce yourself and the media outlet you are covering. Who wants to go first? Josh?
Oh, jeez. This guy?
Josh Dubow, AP. Welcome. How do you think your philosophy of coaching fits, especially well with the Stanford, the players that you can get here?
Like a glove. I mean, I really had this argument with, I won't say the coach in my first job, an assistant. He's like, we're trying to get some guys that, like beyond, academically, we can need to move. And don't get me wrong, I'll ask for guys that are 4.0 guys should be getting in here. But I just think that like-minded guys that are achievement-oriented are going to succeed. They're gonna do well. So I felt that. And some of my playing experience, we were pretty good school academic. We were number one in the country, Division III, but it was like we all kind of had the similar goals. And I think that's kind of where it's resonated with me.
Hi, Coach. Ben Parker, CardinalSportsReport.com, Rivals Network. Just curious how your time at Columbia, you feel prepared you, since that was an Ivy League school as well, just how that experience coaching at a high academic school before you feel has prepared you for this job?
A lot. I think I didn't realize how good the players were in the Ivy League when I got there, and how good the recruiting, and how got a lot of former graduates that are assistant coaches. And so we had to learn to cast a wide net, global net, and really identifying the guys that can play, that have the academic credentials. They're there. You got to work at it. And I always knew that we all 8 schools in that league were always weary of what was looming. Like, please don't get the call from that school in Palo Alto, because that was over. So again, I know in that niche among academic realms, I know what it felt like, and we were all a little fearful of that. And so I've been there. We have a few guys that probably might have been able to get an Ivy League at Washington State. So I was like, geez, I guess I'm just an Ivy League coach. I'm in Pullman. I got attracted a few to Pullman. So the idea that's a great training ground, I think.
We'll go to Steve and then Grant.
Steve Croner from the San Francisco Chronicle. Kyle, congrats.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll ask you about scheduling.
Yes.
And a coach doesn't have full control over scheduling, but you have some decent scheduling. So I'm asking, 3 schools would you want to schedule? Washington State, St. Mary's, and USF.
None. None. Wait, was that a trick question? No, I don't. Honestly, you got to play somebody, but I do think with and there's a lot of philosophy. Depends what you in this modern day. You got to know who's in your program, what's the right steps to take for that year. Like for this year, we didn't. And when I was at Washington State, we didn't know who we had in the program. We're like, we might need to we got to grow into this thing. And you run the risk. We didn't schedule up that we had to win a lot of league games to make ourselves. And we were fortunate to do that, but it worked out. And the year before, we had a really good team, and we overscheduled a little bit, but we had lost two starters for the year. And I was like, that actually was our better coaching job, believe it or not, that we were NIT team with Miles Rice wasn't available and Deshaun Jackson. So it depends year to year on that. But no, I don't. No desire. I'm pretty sure Randy. I haven't talked to him, but that scrimmage will stay in place. We'll scrimmage them gladly, closed doors. USF, no thanks, and Washington State, no thanks.
Grand Avalon Channel Tree. Coach, you've made a lot of success finding under-recruited players through algorithmic reasons. How do you hope to incorporate analytics both in recruiting and on court here at Stanford?
Yeah, along the same ways. I mean, first we got to identify who is recruitable. That's the most important thing. That's the trickiest part here. You don't want to waste any time on guys that you think might be. I heard he has Stanford grades. Well, we better find out, verify, trust and verify. But a lot of things depending on levels, international play, where some of those guys are 18-year-olds playing in certain pro leagues. You can kind of figure out what translates. Some of the EYBL stuff and data like that. And then sometimes it's, if you're at a school like Menlo School or Branson, there's certain schools, Branson School, they're like, okay, they're going to be prepared, whether they get in or not, they're going to be prepared for a place like, and they're going to thrive. Their parents put them at a place like that for a reason. And I think you have a huge advantage when you walk in the door and like, yeah, this Kyle Smith from Stanford, I'd like to talk to you about your son.
Kevin Borba Foundation. Coach, I was wondering, I know you've only been here for like a day or so, but what is the identity of Stanford if you had to summarize it in one word for you?
Achievers. One word, that's all I got, right?
Vern?
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Vern.
Hey, good to see you again.
Now, you're looking good, man. You don't age. Hey, look at
I got to work on some of that.
No, you're looking good.
Anyway, I hate using some of my one-on-one material, but I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
All right. You put in a tape of a guy that you might be interested in.
Yep.
What do you see? What are you looking for?
What are we looking for? What do I
Yeah.
see? That's a whole different story. What I'm looking for, we're looking for 6-tool guys. We like guys who can dribble. Six?
Okay.
I mean, I've been reaching out to Michael Lewis forever trying to get, I've been doing this Moneyball thing for basketball. He's a 5-tool guy. One guy's can dribble, pass, drive, shoot, defend, rebound. Really well-rounded player. I think actually there's been quite a few of those guys in this program. I think they're good feel guys. They're skillful. They have good size and length. So that's the goal. And to find those guys that fit, that's easy to play with, both sides of the ball. And the more of those you accumulate, the better you can be.
How long do you have to look at this tape or look at this player before you say to yourself, all right, this guy can play for me?
It depends. It depends. You have less time as a head coach to really dig into that, and you got to trust your assistants and having guys that you've coached with and maybe even coached in the sense. I think we'll have some guys on our staff that have gone through the analytics piece, understand it. We're pretty connected that way, and sometimes it's a long time. Sometimes it's not that long. That's
All right,
very
Coach?
vague.
I'll talk to you right after this is done.
Okay. Yeah. I think we're good, Vern. I've seen you. We're good.
Harold Gutman with the Bay Area News Group. I know you talked about worrying about the guys you have and not the ones you don't, but there are some significantly talented guys in the portal. Are you going to be reaching out to them? Like, what's kind of the plan on keeping the existing talent, and then kind of longer term? Stanford does have some sort of unique hurdles. Some people think when it comes to transfers and NILs, kind of what's your approach going to be with that?
Yeah, no, I've discussed with Bernard and others about that. Like I said, I reached out to the guys that are in first, and I've also reached out to the guys that are in the portal, and we'll see how it goes. And I think there's a little bit, and pitched what I think is obviously we have to establish that people, and the reason I'm attracted to this place is people are going to be at Stanford not for the dollars they can earn in NIL. I think hopefully it's for the degree, for the experience, for a lifetime of relationships. And we got to keep selling that to the players in the program and the people in the portal. And actually, I won't name names, but it's funny. How was your experience at Stanford? I love Stanford. I'm like, what are we doing? You love it. It's rare. It's rare that you say I love being here. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? All right, let's figure this out. So if you love a place, man, let's not walk away from that. And then, like I said, obviously the transfers and grad transfers. Tara gave me marching orders to maybe say that would be something we could really benefit from. And I do believe, like, kids that are graduating from Ivy League schools, I think would probably be good graduate school candidates. I don't know. I mean, are we that hard? Might be. So, and I think USC women had a lot of success with some of those Ivy League transfers. Just putting that out there. For Tara. And Kyle.
So subtle.
We'll go Kate and Jackson.
Hi, Kyle. Kate Rooney from Cron 4. Wondering how you feel you might have evolved or changed as a coach during your time in Pullman.
I actually softened up a lot, and that might have been more in the last 10 years or so, or 8 years ago, when this how our families changed. And I've had really good help there, and I can't thank those guys enough on the staff, because our family situation is so unique, and having to delegate and really trust in my assistants and letting things go a little bit. And I mean, there's moments there that people are like, you really look calm on the sideline. So I got really good staff and probably have really good players. That usually helps. And then some of those tough moments, I just got to, man, it's in God's hands. Let it go. And that's probably where and that's hard for most coaches. We want to control everything. We want to, that's kind of our job. But it's like sometimes it is, you've done your job, and now they have to do it. So I think that's probably where I've softened up a little bit and let the process take care of itself.
Coach Jackson Moore, Cardinal247.com for 24/7 Sports. Congrats.
Thank you.
You've addressed a lot of the aspects of recruiting here. I'm just additionally curious about seemingly less time and more vacancies potentially in this particular offseason. How do you address that on top of?
You just got to plow through it, man. I think it's, the last 2 springs have been really taxing on all coaches, myself and family, and it's disappointing, but I said I might as well do it here. Whatever, and it's going to be. And there are some obstacles that I'm sure on the timelines and deadlines, and as far as getting guys in school, and I'll be working on that. But I do think, it kind of puts the people that go on the portal, it kind of puts you in a disadvantage. It's like, man, I want to replace, we want to be able to field the team. So I'll work through it, and we'll figure it out.
Go to Steve next.
Yeah, I don't, excuse me, you don't have to tell you, you were at a school that had a long NCAA drought that you ended this season. What did you learn from that process in Pullman? This school has had a pretty long NCAA drought that will help you end it maybe even quicker than you did in Pullman.
Again, give into the process, and I'm not going to put a timeline on it, and it's just, let's do what we do. And like I didn't expect, like we were picked 10th this year in Washington State, and I looked at it, I thought we were pretty good. And that's why actually these guys in the portal, I'm like, hey fellas, we had 9 new faces. We went to the tournament. Like, we get back in here. We're going to the tournament potentially, And I don't think we just go day over day improvement, literally, and just keep walking that walk. And you don't know what's going. I said, and people think I'm crazy. I said we don't put goals like team goals. There's one goal. We want to be in the NCAA tournament. That's always the goal. But we just work on improving every day, because I don't want to put a ceiling on what we could be. And we had a chance to win the league. And I regretfully lost to UW on the last game of the year. And it happens. But to have a chance to win the Pac-12 championship in last year with that group was sensational. But, I think obviously learn. I just think it's less is more a little bit on that, on the focus on the process, and things will take care of themselves. You will get better. You will improve. You can't put that kind of I know that's going to be probably one of the stories. Like, it's been a long time. Well, we'll get there. Believe in it. We'll get there.
Great.
Kyle, one of the first players you ever coached in San Diego, right here,
Okay.
was Chris Grant.
Oh.
And on the roster this year, we have Cameron Grant. What does that mean to you now to be in the next generation?
That means I'm getting old. That was the obvious answer. Yeah, no, amazing that Chris produced a son that's in Stanford. He's a Kenyatta College product that played for Coach Lagarza, and he's an awesome guy and obviously very smart and talented. But just it makes me feel old. But I know with that DNA that goes back to Coach Orlich, South Lake Tahoe. He's an end guy. I'm sure he's a hard-nosed, tough kid, and again, someone probably that you can build culture with. I'm sure of it.
Hey, Coach. Couch Stanford from the Stanford Daily. Obviously Stanford's moving to the ACC next year. I mean, I forgot about the schedule for this next upcoming season, but how excited are you to maybe play a lot of historic teams, blue bloods like Duke and North Carolina, go to the Dean Dome, go to Cameron Indoor, and also have them come here too to Maples?
Well, when I was at Washington State, I thought it was silly, and then when I got the job, I was like, "This is awesome." I didn't mean that. I was like, "Yeah, Cameron Indoor Arena." Someone said Syracuse. Oh yeah, Syracuse is that league too. I said, not looking forward to going to the Carrier Dome in the middle of winter, but it is pretty. It's awesome, to be honest. So, and then frightening. So, but that's all right. That's how coaches think. But just to be able to, I was telling my wife, I said, like this, they care about basketball. This is Tobacco Road. This is, it's a big time deal. It's awesome. And I think there is a little. I don't know if we're there, but definitely there's a comparison between that school in Durham and here a little bit. So it'll be, quite the bar is high there, but be interesting to compete against them.
Coach, I'll just kind of right here.
Yeah.
I'll first of all just add to the congratulations for the job. At Pac-12 tournament a couple weeks back, I asked one of your players what they most enjoy about playing for you, and one of the comments that they said was that you're really heavy into statistics. So just kind of what is your kind of statistical approach to the game, and how many stats do you actually make your guys memorize? How does that work?
Poor Jalen. Jalen Wells said, I was like, Jalen, that's the best you could come up with. Do we do a lot of stats? I was like, no, but I was like, we really don't. Really, coaching does come down to relationships, but we do have a lot of them. And like I said, it appeals to guys, the growth mindset. I mean, guys that really want to know where they stand, where they need to get better. We'll get a lot of feedback, and there's about 60 of them when we play and when we practice. It sounds crazy. I'm telling you, it's not as crazy as it is. But every live situation practice, we watch them, and then we come back as a staff, and it keeps our staff united too. We watch it together as a group, and one guy's got defense, rebounding, other guy's got ball handling, offense, and I'm kind of like the judge, and like that play. And then just kind of punch it in the Excel spreadsheet, and it comes out, and you get your what we call your HPP, hustle points per possession, and that's kind of how we measure how hard you're competing, and it's quantifying the intangible things that help us win. I would imagine here they would like it. I think the players would like it. They want to know, what do I have to do to get better? And there's been good results, man. And I think I won't ever. I tried my best. I told it not to reference the previous staff at all. It's a hard job, and I want to move forward. And the only thing is that this team can be really good. We got to get good defensively, like defend, rebound. That's what I missed in I forgot philosophy. Defend, rebound, take care of the ball. That's kind of where all these things have started, and that it goes into like talk about the analytics. So that's a little bit is measuring how hard you compete and getting those guys their opportunities.
Time for one more. Grant or Kaushik?
Yeah, Coach. I think somebody also brought up the recruiting algorithm that you developed at USF. I'm curious how that's changed over the years, and also maybe how you've adjusted that to the NIL era, just because recruiting has changed since then.
There is another layer with NIL. It's like you want to find out who are the best players, and then you kind of there's no who's asking for what, and it's about getting those guys that really they're leading with, I want to be here, I want to be good, they have the right attitude, versus you got to talk to such and such. So that's changed for sure. But I still think there's enough guys out there. And I told Bernard, we had my last stop, 2 stops ago, but a guy named Jamari Bouye, who was from Salinas, and I thought it was a great joke. And at the Olympic Club, I said, I said, yeah, we had to beat Fresno Pacific. And, Damon Stoudemire and Rodney Terry looking at me like, who's this kid? I'm like, no, we had to beat Fresno Pacific, D2 school, and he's playing the NBA right now. So, not to say but it's because he had not just analytics, it's fit. He was at a Palma High School or University of San Francisco. He had actually applied to the school on his own. I'm like, he wants to be here. That's item number 3. Great attitude, great work that wants to be here. And there's a lot of people that want to be here and should be lucky to be here. So we got to get that back in if it's not there. I think it's there.
Awesome. Well, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you to all in attendance. Go Card.
You got it.